My parent device is actually there, right? With two different interfaces. So one is ETH0, the other one is a wireless interface that I actually attached just now. So without this one, previously we saw only two different interfaces. The first interface that you see here is not the real interface. Real interface means, for example, let us take our host machine. On my host machine, I have both wired connection and also Wi-Fi connection, right? That means I have two network cards. One is Ethernet card, the other one is Wi-Fi card. I'm able to see my Wi-Fi option all because of that card. And I have the Ethernet card to which I connected the wired cable, right? So virtual machine doesn't have any kind of physical card, right? So from where this particular virtual machine is receiving internet, it is receiving this internet through my VirtualBox software, right? You remember in the network settings, if we select the right interface, right? Using that, we can get the internet connection, right? So once you select this network interface, it is going to create a virtual adapter for us. And using that virtual adapter, we are able to get the internet connection. So this is a virtual adapter, not the real adapter, right? What is the difference between virtual one and real one? Real one means there is a physical card that is present on your device, right? Any device that is capable of Wi-Fi, there is some hardware component associated with that. For this VM, there is no hardware component. It is using my host machine's Ethernet card to send that data onto internet or receive something from the internet. Am I right? So if you are using a device like this, I mean virtual cards cannot be used to perform all these attacks, right? You need to have access to the physical card. What does it mean? If you want to perform this Wi-Fi related practicals, you need to use tools on your host machine. Instead of your Windows as base host, you need to replace that with your Parrot or Kali, right? So that is one way in which you can perform all these practicals without having adapter. Second, you need to have the card that is capable of going on monitor mode and also perform packet injection. Not all cards that come with your host machine, right, can perform packet injection, but most of these devices can actually go on monitor mode, right? You can turn on monitor mode so that your device can capture everything, but they cannot do packet injection, right? Two conditions. What is the first condition? If you are using the tool that we are going to demonstrate in today's session on a virtual machine, then for sure you need to have an external card for performing these attacks, because this VM cannot have access to the underlying hardware. Two, the Wi-Fi card that you are using for this particular attack should have monitor mode capability and also packet injection capability. There are different companies that actually build Wi-Fi cards, right, for hacking purpose. Two companies that actually build this are Alpha and Realtek. There are two companies that build cards for hacking purpose, right? One is Alpha, the other one is Realtek. So note down the model number. It is Alpha AWUS 0 36 36 NHA. There is NHA and also NH. This is that adapter that I am using right now. Realtek also builds cards for this purpose. as I am deciding to use a tool named as AirCrack that comes pre-built with your parent mission, right? I'm going to use this external card for sure. If I set up this AirCrack on my host mission, then I don't need this external card, right? So if you are setting up this hacking environment on a VM, then for sure you need to have an external card, right? Because this device cannot have access to the underlying hardware. Next, any Wi-Fi card, there are so many adapters that you can see on the internet, but not all adapters are meant for this hacking purpose, right? Most of these Wi-Fi adapters are actually built for having internet access onto your VM using Wi-Fi option, right? So if you observe, there is no Wi-Fi option if I don't connect this Wi-Fi adapter. In your parent mission, you'll not see any Wi-Fi option. In my case, I'm able to see all the Wi-Fi options because I connected my adapter here. If I don't have that Wi-Fi adapter, I will never ever see Wi-Fi option anymore. If you are not seeing any Wi-Fi around you, then you cannot hack the Wi-Fi, right? So if you want to see those Wi-Fi options, then obviously we'll use some Wi-Fi adapter, I mean external adapter to connect to that Wi-Fi network using this VM. That time you cannot use the bridge part, right? Again, you can have both the connections active. Through which one you want to have access in perform attacks, you can choose that interface and perform the attacks. Same like on my host mission, I have wired connection and also Wi-Fi connection. Here also you can have multiple connections. Both the connections can have internet. Now, what is the other thing that is associated with these adapters? Adapter that you use for hacking, read the description and see whether it actually provides that capability of going on monitor mode and also performing packet injection, right? Of course, maybe certain descriptions may give you the detail, or you can do independent research about that particular adapter. Of course, this is the one that actually I'm going to use in today's session, right? So if it is something else that you are using, you need to check these two details. Can it go on monitor mode, right? Is it capable of doing packet injection? Now, once this check is done, right? If you are connecting this Wi-Fi adapter onto your VM, right? All these devices come with a USB plug and play capability, right? So as you can see here, I have my device. So it comes with this USB cable and this is that adapter. So this is that particular adapter that I'm going to use, and it comes with this USB cable, right? So plug and play kind of device, you can easily plug in. There is no additional adapter, I mean drivers that you need to install, right? The moment you connect, you can easily see that new Wi-Fi option on your parent mission, right? And there are different types of devices that you can choose between. Now, Alpha is the company that is building this, but the important thing is the chip inside this, right? Same like your computer can be from different brand, but what is the processor? Intel processor, like that. So this Alpha adapter comes with Atheros chipset. So you can see that name here, or else note down the name. It is Atheros AR9271. See, there are so many devices that are coming with this particular chipset. This chipset is very important because this is the one that is going to help you in performing all the attacks, right? Alpha adapter with this particular chipset. Or you can search for any other brand adapter with this particular chipset, right? For now, Yet another aspect is the range that it covers. Of course, the one that I'm using right now is there with 5 dBi antenna, right? So I also have 9 dBi antenna and 8 dBi antenna. So more power in the antenna, more range that you can cover, right? There are frequencies that you need to check. 2.4 gigahertz one and 5 gigahertz frequency. If you are going with 2.4 gigahertz thing, you can cover more distance, right? With less power when compared with 5 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz thing can cover less range with more strength, right? More reliability. So in this particular environment, I'm going to use 2.4 gigahertz one because in my goal is to have more range covered, right? Based on what kind of attack you are doing, where you are doing, you need to choose the right one. If you are choosing a 2.4 gigahertz thing, obviously this cannot see the 5 gigahertz frequencies. If you are purchasing something that is going on 5 gigahertz one, then you can see both 2.4 and also 5, right? Again, for the practice purpose, you no need to purchase this adapter, right? So for today's session, I'll be doing the practical. You simply sit back, relax, and observe what I am doing. And make sure that you note down the commands in the order, right? So that I rearrange them in such a way you can easily remember on which tool is used for what purpose. And even in the exam, they will ask you the same utilities, on which utility we use for so-and-so attack and so on, right? So in the organization, they will give you this adapter for performing Wi-Fi related pen test. What we do in that pen test is the same one that we are going to cover as part of today's session, right? So first step of this process is to identify how many access points are there around you, right? So one thing is carry this particular lab setup and then look for all the access points around you, right? So right now I am taking my Parrot mission and I'm connecting this adapter to my Parrot mission. And as you can see, I disconnected the normal wired connection. So this device doesn't have internet connection now. I am performing all these attacks without internet connection. You don't need any network connection or internet connection for performing all these attacks. All you need is this device should have capability of connecting to that adapter, right? So I already have adapter connection. So if I run ifconfig, you are seeing that new adapter. And if I run iwconfig, it will show all the wireless cards. So this is that wireless card that I have right now, right? So what is the first command that we run? iwconfig to see if the adapter is connected or not. In my case, I connected that. It is just plug and play device, right? We have that particular device ready. Next, are you seeing that the wireless card that I connected is by default running on managed mode, right? Managed mode means it can capture the packets that are coming towards this device only if you connect to any Wi-Fi around you, right? For example, if you are seeing managed mode and if I go on the Wi-Fi option, here you will find out all the Wi-Fis around you. You can connect to any of the Wi-Fi if you have password. We don't have passwords. Now we need to crack that password and try to make this device have internet access. That is our end goal for this section, right? So once you connect this particular device, keep in mind, I don't have internet connection. I'm not connected to any network. I just connected my adapter and my Wi-Fi adapter is able to see a bunch of access points around me. Access points are nothing but routers around me, Wi-Fi routers around me. And we are going to plan on conducting attack on these routers and then get some Wi-Fi password so that we can connect, right? So by default, it is on managed mode. Managed mode means you need to know the password for any of these access points and you need to connect and have access to the internet. The next thing is monitor mode. What is monitor mode? Once you set your card on monitor mode, it will move on to the listening mode. It will start capturing anything that is around you. You cannot use that particular monitor mode to connect to some Wi-Fi and have internet activity, right? It is just for capturing. Got it? Now, how to put this particular card on monitor mode. Throughout this particular section, we are going to use this aircraft suite that comes with different scripts which will help you in performing these activities. The very first thing is to put this card on monitor mode. To put the card on monitor mode, we use airmon ng utility. So these things will be the commands that or else script names that they will ask in the exam, right? Which script is used for setting the card on monitor mode? It is airmon ng, part of aircraft suite. Most of the Wi-Fi hacking tools, right, use the same aircraft suite in the background, right? There are tons of different Wi-Fi hacking tools, right, that you can clone from Git and use, but more or less they use the same utility in the background. So next is start, airmon ng start, the interface name. This will put the card on monitor mode. I'm asking it to set this particular card on monitor mode. Within a very short time, it completed the job and configured this card on monitor mode. Now it enabled the card on monitor mode with a new interface name as WLAN 0mon. There are certain processes that are conflicting with it. It killed that and then enabled that monitor mode. Now if I run IW config, are you seeing that the mode changed? Now the card is on monitor mode. So once the card is on monitor mode, you will not be able to see any Wi-Fi option. Why? It is on listening mode now. It cannot give you internet connection, right? It is just to capture anything that is in the range. Now that we set the card on monitor mode, we can start checking how many access points are there around us and dump the content from all these access points. To do this, we'll use arrow dump utility, right? So please make sure that you note down all these commands. I'm going to put that in the note. So what is the first thing that I did? IW config to see if my adapter is connected or not. And then we used airmon ng start the wireless card interface name. Wireless interface name. Next, to check access points around us, we'll use arrow dump ng. Again, before going on to that, if you want to stop this card, then set it back to managed mode. If you want to do that, again, airmon ng stop with the interface name. Most of the times it will be like WLAN 0mon, as you can see in this case. Initially, it is a random name, but after it going on to manage monitor mode, it is WLAN 0mon. Now, if I want to put it back onto managed mode, stop WLAN 0mon. Right? Now that I kept it back onto managed mode, I can go back and connect to any Wi-Fi that is around me. When it is on listening mode, it can't do any other activity, right? When we are watching Netflix, we cannot do any other activity, right? So let's set the card on monitor mode. After setting the card on monitor mode, for all the attacks that we are going to do, you need to first set the card on monitor mode. That is the base. So sudo arrow dump ng sudo arrow dump ng WLAN 0 mon means the interface on which the monitor mode is running. This is the command that will run to list all the access points around me. Again, you are seeing a huge list of access points, right? That is all because of the adapter. Again, if I change this antenna to 9 dB antenna or 8 dB antenna, I'll see even more. If I have the 9 dB antenna, I'll also see other Wi-Fi's around me, right? Within somewhere around 1 kilometer range. So I will see that Sardi Studios access point also here. That is all the power in the antenna. Right? Again, if you press Control C, it will stop. Remember, in this case, it is showing you all the access points around and it is displaying some details. Let's look at what are the details. The first one that you see is BSS ID, which is nothing but MAC address of access points, and power is the strength or the distance. Beacons are the broadcast packets that these devices release. I mean, so as you can see here, when you are looking at Wi-Fi option, it is listing some Wi-Fi names here. How is it listing? It is listing because there are some beacons that broadcast packets that those access points are releasing. I am here. If you have password, you can connect. So it is listing how many beacons or how many broadcast packets that particular access point released. Data is the amount of data that is exchanged between this particular adapter and that access point. S is how much amount of data that is exchanged in the last 10 seconds. CH is the channel, right? So each and every communication path will go in a separate channel just to avoid any conflicts. Next, MB is the speed. Power is the distance. MB is the amount of speed that is used to exchange the data between this particular access point and that access point. Again, when I'm saying access point, it is nothing but our adapter and the Wi-Fi router, right? Access point. So EHC is the encryption scheme that is used. Cipher is the ciphering method. You remember? In case of cryptography module, we talked about public key encryption, symmetric key encryption, right? And in public key encryption, what scheme you used? AES, RSA, right? These are all different schemes. So these two are same kind. All that you see is the key sharing technique that is used. You will see PSK, which is pre-shared key. Next, ESSID, which is the name of that access point, right? So which command we can use to look for all the content? It is arrow dump ng. But you are dumping some content. If you observe HSG, there is some content that data that is exchanged, right? But we are not saving it anywhere. If I want to see how many clients are connected to that particular access point, and if I want to save the data, then we need to use specific details related to this access point only. For example, right now, I want to see how many clients are connected to HSG, and I want to capture that data. Then we'll use the same arrow dump command. So let me run arrow dump once again. I'm going to press Control C to stop this. And now run arrow dump command once again. This time I'm going to specify one specific access point and capture the traffic, only traffic that is associated with that access point. So how to do this? Let me write the command. in the leaf pad so that it is easy to explain. So if I want to capture it only for one specific access point, then we do sudo arrow dump ng, right? Access point, I mean, interface using which you are going to do this. Along with that, channel number, right? So channel followed by the channel ID. Next, we'll write BSSID, which is nothing but access point, MAC address, MAC address of access point. And if you want to save this somewhere, then we'll use write option and write it into a different file. If you want to save it into a different file, then we'll do this. If not, we'll simply leave it to the BSSID and channel number. Now, in our result, I am seeing bunch of access points and I want to capture the packets that are associated with this HSG. Then what to do? Sudo arrow dump ng -- channel. The channel ID for this particular HSG is 5. So we'll use that ID 5 -- BSSID. BSSID is nothing but MAC address of this access point. In my case, this is the MAC address. I'm going to copy this, put that here. And in this case, I don't want to write this content anywhere. So I'm going to leave it as it is. And WLAN 01. Now what happens? It starts displaying all the details related to that concerned access point. See, the first section is the detail related to access point. Second section is detail related to the clients that are connected to that access point. Right? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 computers connected to this HSG access point. Again, are you seeing that amount of data that is exchanged? But this data is not captured or saved anywhere. If you use write option, it will save it if you want, right? So let's break this with Control C. Now, if I head towards my desktop and on desktop, there are no files. Let's rerun this command again, but by writing write option, right? And I'm going to name it as capture. Now we are seeing all the details of different access points and also clients. I mean, the concerned access point and the clients connected to it. There is one device that is there with huge amount of traffic. If I'm not wrong, this is my host machine only. Because my host machine is connected to HSG running this Zoom session. Right? So if I press Control C on my desktop, you can see it created a bunch of different files. Now, these are the files that you can use to read the content, but you can't read it because the content is encrypted. Now, if I use sudo Wireshark, right, and the cap file name, it opens that in the Wireshark. So this is all wireless traffic, right? So you can't see the content, but there is a lot of content that is exchanged between my computer and that computer. So I can use arrow dump in this fashion to capture the packets, right? So if you carefully observe, I am doing all these attacks without having access to that device. Hello, we don't know the password for the target access point, but still we are able to look into how many clients are connected to that access point and so on. Right? I didn't connect it to internet at all. I didn't connect it to any network, but still I'm able to see how many clients are there part of that concerned access point. I can take any access point and then look at these details. Next, without connecting to the target, you can actually perform one of the most dangerous type of attack, which is de-authentication attack. My dear friends who are part of this local network, are you all connected to HSG? Connected to HSG or HSG 5G? If you are connected to HSG, then I can disconnect your client and show. So change to HSG. So let me show you on how we can perform this de-authentication attack. Again, I'm going to run the same previous command, but this time I'm not going to save the result anywhere. No capture. Let's check how many devices are there in this particular network. I mean, this access associated with this access point, right? So may I know your MAC addresses, please? In my case, my host machine is MAC. And my host machine MAC is actually connected to the same HSG network. You can see HSG. And its MAC address is 1470 DA38. You are seeing 1470 DA38. This is my MAC machine. Identify your MAC address and tell me, so that I can show you how to disconnect your device from internet. I'm not going to do that on my Mac machine, because if I do so, online people will be disconnected, will lose the internet on this device. So what is the MAC address? MAC address. How to identify MAC address on your Windows? Run getMAC. GetMAC command. Windows. Parrot అయినా పర్వాలేదు. రియల్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ చెప్పచ్చు కదా, విండోస్ దే చెప్పండి. E8 84 so and so. So E8 84 A5 87 F3 E3. This is the device. Do you have internet connection? Right? So now let me perform this de-authentication attack on this particular device to disconnect it. Again, remember, I have not connected to any Wi-Fi here, right? But still I'm able to see his device. Right now in this scenario, we are picking up one single device to demonstrate this attack. But in real world scenario, I'll disconnect all the clients in that network. Right? Sarda. Right? So take down the command. What is the command that we can use to disconnect or perform de-authentication attack? Using aircrack suite to perform any kind of attack, we use airplay ng utility. Airplay ng. And what attack you want to perform? I want to perform de-authentication attack. So DAuth. And what is this de-authentication attack? De-authentication attack means I'm going to send some de-authentication packets to the target device. Right? These de-authentication packets are quite normal in a network. For example, if there is some issue, a Wi-Fi router issue, then Wi-Fi router will send this de-authentication packet to the client to say, to disconnect them for a moment. Right? So now what we are doing with this de-authentication attack is we are forcing the target HSG network to send bunch of de-authentication packets to one of the client. Right? So until and unless you stop this, the client will be disconnected from the network only. The moment you stop it, it will again try to connect back and it will have connection successful. Now, let us say I want to keep it disconnected for a long duration. So I'm going to add 10,000 de-authentication packets. Until unless this 10,000 packets happen complete, we can't connect back. Next, let's add the access point MAC address. What is my access point MAC address? Whatever thing that I see in the previous command. So access point MAC address is this one. And my target's MAC address is this one. Right? So I need to copy these two details. So -a, small a for MAC address of access point, and we'll add -c to specify client MAC address. Interesting thing is, if you want to disconnect all the clients, simply remove this -c option. which I'm not going to do now because my device is also connected to the same HSG. And if we lose this connection, then online people will be disconnected from it. Got it? Now let's run this particular attack. So sudo airplay ng -- DEAuth. I'm going to send 10,000 DE authentication packets to a target access point with MAC address as this and target client with MAC address as this. And finally, the interface that I'm going to use for performing this attack, WLAN 01. Interface name. Interface, not access point interface, our interface name. Which adapter we are using for conducting this attack? The interface name for which it is on monitor mode. Right? So let's run this particular attack and your computer is disconnected from internet. If you have that HS5G password, check your Wi-Fi option, it will go on to HS5G. Is the computer disconnected? Internet gone. Run. So if I press Control C, now your device will be back. HS0 5G. This disconnect, there already 5G password automatically it will connect. So this is how simple you can disconnect someone from the internet. Let's repeat this once again. You all check that. I'll run this attack for only few seconds, right? Because I'm sure that my wired connection will be properly working. People who are online, you may face some internet disturbance because I'm going to remove this -C option. Now anyone who is part of HSG will be disconnected. Oh, exam also. Maybe they have not started yet. Let's do it for a second. With this command, gone, disconnected. See, me without connecting to any Wi-Fi, disconnecting clients connected to some of those Wi-Fi access points. See how damaging it is. Right? So why I'm sending 10,000 DE authentication packets? More packets you send, more time it will take for them to reconnect. Right? If you send only 1 or 2 packets, after this, packets expire, the device will try to connect back again. Instead of doing that, what I did, I sent 10,000 DE authentication packets. All the devices will be connected for a long duration until this 10,000 packets expire. The start అందుకే స్టార్ట్ అయిందా లేదా ఆపేసిన ఎటాక్ ఆపేసిన. So I don't think this disturbed the people who are online. Right? So this is DE authentication attack.